Is anyone thinking of another disease that we can solve?
Thyroid problems.
Thyroid. Okay, let's look at thyroid. Dr. David Brownstein. Now, Dr. David Brownstein is considered the expert on iodine. And he's written a book called Iodine, Why You Need It and Why You Can't Live Without It. And in his book he shows that overactive and underactive thyroid are usually both due to lack of iodine. So, and the name of his book, I won't write it because it's a long name, Iodine, Why You Need It and Why You Can't Live Without It. That's the name of his book. So number one, iodine. Well, how can you tell if someone needs iodine? Because iodine is the thyroid's number one food. And what about iodized salt? Did you know that within 1 hour of opening the iodized salt, all the iodine's gone? Did you know that there's no iodine in Celtic salt and there's no iodine in Himalayan salt? Because it evaporates. So when the waves crash, the iodine goes into suspension, goes across and lands on the soil. That's why the plants grown around the edge of a country near the sea are higher in iodine.
And when it's added to the soil?
Yes, that can help. But what we suggest is to buy Lugol's solution. Lugol's solution is a combination of iodine and iodide. And iodide is used mostly by the reproductive organs of the body, and the iodine is used by the other organs of the body. So Lugol's solution is a combination of those two. It's a dark brown fluid. And what you do is you put it on the inside of the arm, put 1 drop there, and it'll make a brown smudge or mark. And then the person observes how long it stays brown. If the iodine's gone in an hour, that person's very low. If there's still some semblance of colour after 5 hours, that person's got good amounts of iodine. So what do you do if it's all gone in an hour? You just put it on every day till it stays for 5 hours. That's simple, isn't it? So that's a good iodine test. Now, if the person's washing their hands a lot, they might put it on their stomach, or they might put it further up. Because if the body's low in iodine, it'll grab it, and it'll grab it quick. It's as simple as that. Yeah?
Where are most people getting it from then?
Where are most people getting it from? Probably from the food that they're eating. That's why it's commonly known people that live in the central part of countries are often low in iodine. But that's not the only problem with the thyroid. So iodine is converted in the body to thyroxine. And that conversion needs selenium. And mercury fillings have an affinity for selenium. So when people have mercury fillings in their mouth, or they're eating a lot of fish with high mercury, they are often low in selenium. So a person can have adequate iodine, but if they don't have the selenium, the iodine can't be converted into thyroxine. And to get all your selenium, you just need 5 Brazil nuts a day. Will give you the selenium that you need. So, number 2, eliminate mercury. Eliminate all exposure to mercury. And there's 3 places we can be exposed to mercury. Where's that? Yeah, fish. And the bigger the fish, the higher the concentration of mercury, because mercury is bioaccumulative. That means the bigger the fish, the more it accumulates. So fish, where else can we be exposed? Fillings in the teeth, the silver-coloured fillings. And the 3rd place we can be exposed is the vaccines. Yep. I can't confirm if it's in the COVID vaccine or not, but it is in the flu vaccine, so it's most likely in the COVID, but I cannot say for sure.
What about colors, painting the walls or something? Is there a lot of mercury in it?
Not any longer.
Or,
Not usually.
okay, good.
Not usually. In about, I think it was about the 1970s, in Minamata Bay in Japan, they noticed cats doing backflips. All these cats were doing backflips. And they traced it to the mercury going into the water. And remember, mercury is a heavy metal. It's not in the seawater, so it's not in Celtic salt. It sinks to the bottom, and the fish, the plants take it up, the little fish eat the plants, the bigger fish eat the little fish. And they called it dancing cat disease. They didn't call it mercury disease. Now remember I said on my long flight from Australia to, where did I fly into? Dubai. I was watching some documentaries and I saw one on Minamata Bay. It was very interesting because it had the whole story there. And this guy came in as a journalist to report on it, and all these deformed children and deformed old people, and the company that owned I think it was an aluminium factory, and the waste that was going to Minamata Bay was the mercury waste. Just incredible. Took a long time before finally they acknowledged it and did something about it. But the fishermen's children, the fishermen themselves, but they called it dancing cat disease, not mercury disease. And you've heard of Mad Hatter's disease? You know, the Alice in Wonder, there's the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonder. I haven't watched that or seen it, but you see, I remember from a child, the Alice in Wonderland, there was a Mad Hatter. Well, hatters went mad, the hatters that made the top hats, because they would glue the felt together with mercury. And so Mad Hatter's disease was hatters would go mad because of their exposure to mercury. So they didn't call that mercury disease either. They called it Mad Hatter's disease because mercury is a neurotoxin. So eliminate all exposure to mercury, because mercury takes up the selenium, and selenium is needed to convert iodine into thyroxine. Number 3, high estrogen opposes thyroid function. So you can have someone with thyroid problems because they've got high estrogen. What would cause high estrogen? Any ideas?
Dairy.
What causes high estrogen? Contraceptive pill. Plastics. Especially those soft plastics that have got the nonylphenol. Remember the xenoestrogens coming from chemicals, coming from plastics. You've got your plastic fabrics. Remember your acrylics, nylons, polyesters. So eliminate exposure to mercury and eliminate plastics. And eliminate the contraceptive pill.
And dairy?
Yep. And one of the reasons for dairy and also eggs is because of the growth stimulants that are given to cows and chickens. And the growth stimulants is an estrogenic effect. And so what also needs to happen here is the hormone balancing program. And we looked at that. We looked at the herbs that you can use. We also looked at getting together and ordering a whole box to get it cost. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream from Australia. So that's an important part because your high estrogen opposes your thyroid function. These are areas that are not often assessed, but as I've just shown you, if you don't get these back into balance, you won't find a turnaround of the problem. And don't forget the true remedies, 8 laws. Thyroid controls metabolism. So if it's overactive, everything's fast, they can't eat enough food to because metabolism is going so fast. And it's really, they lose weight because everything's going so fast. So with overactive thyroid, it might need to be supplemented with juices. Definitely need 3 meals a day, maybe an hour before the meal they'll need a vegetable juice just to keep up. And how do we slow down when it's overactive? How do we slow it down? Ice. And how do we ice? 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. You might do that for half an hour to really chill it. And if the person's underweight, which they often are with an overactive thyroid gland, you want to make sure the rest of their body's warm. You might put their feet on a hot water bottle or in a bucket of hot water to warm them up, but you want that slowed down. So number 6, over, we'll just say the overactive thyroid gland, ice. What about the underactive? What will wake it up? Cayenne compress. Will we do that in the morning or in the afternoon? Morning. If we do it in the afternoon, it'll wake them up and they won't sleep much.
Is that a compress, you said, or
Yeah.
internally?
Yeah, I think certain 3-4 hours. They might do it every second day. Sometimes if they do it every day, it gets too uncomfortably hot. And this is also where, especially with the underactive, exercise, the high intensity interval training. We're going to look at that in detail tomorrow. Because that high intensity interval training wakes up the thyroid gland because you're going so fast. Could you do hot and colds to the thyroid in the shower? That's another thing that could be done. So hot and colds. See, with the overactive thyroid gland, they're usually a bit underweight, they can't sit still, everything's fast. But with the overactive, with the underactive thyroid gland, they're often carrying excess weight. they're sluggish, they're slow, they have no energy, because the thyroid gland controls metabolism. So overactive, metabolism's too fast. Underactive is too slow. So we've got a program there.